If I met God in the unlikely event after I died, I think the first thing I'd say is, well, which one are you? Are you Zeus? Are you Thor? Are you Baal? Are you Mithras?
This is a great circular logic used by Dawkins. Now, the main problem when Dawkins talks about which God, if I'm wrong, well, which God am I wrong about? Am I wrong about this God? Am I wrong about that God? Am I wrong about Zeus? Am I wrong about Apollo? Am I wrong about the great Juju? There's one thing that Dawkins fails to understand, one basic principle, and that is that the idea of God is universal. Just like food is universal, just like clothing is universal, transportation, housing, these are all universal ideas, and just because we live in a different part of the world, our ideas on this are different, but they're also universal. For instance, if Dawkins was talking about food, hey, Dawkins, let's go get some food, and Dawkins would say, well, which food? Do you mean Chinese food? Do you mean Mexican food? Do you mean Italian food? Which food are you talking about? Well, doesn't that sound a little ridiculous? Does he handle all these arguments like this? I think not. He understands universal concepts when talking about other things. The idea of God is a universal concept, but just like language, it's different. It is perceived differently. Just like food, just like clothing, just like transportation. The problem with approaching things the way Dawkins does, and theists, is that they constantly think that they need to keep these gods separated. We can't mix the idea of gods. No, we have to keep them separated so that we can fight over which one. I mean, the idea of language is a universal concept, but everybody's language is different in different countries. Everybody's food is different in different countries. Everybody's mode of transportation is different in different countries. In America, we speak English. In Thailand, they speak Thai. In Laos, they speak Lao. In Mexico, they speak Spanish. In Italy, they speak Italian. Someone would go up to Dawkins and say, hey, Dawkins, let's have a talk. And Dawkins would say, well, which language are you referring to? Are you referring to English? Are you referring to Italian? Chinese? Mandarin? Which language are you implying? And the next argument that an atheist would bring up is, well, they just don't work with each other. These different religions, they just don't work on many levels. They just don't work together on many levels. But that's also true of a lot of things, isn't it? Let's take the concept of clothing. Clothing is a universal idea, but yet I would not wear a disco shirt with lederhosen. I just wouldn't do it, would I? I don't think anybody would. There we have a conflict of ideas, but the idea is still universal. Even though I drive in America and the idea of driving a car is universal, I sure as hell wouldn't drive on the right side of the road in England. These two ideas would clash, wouldn't they? But yet the concept is universal. The concept of the wheel was created thousands of years ago, but we've managed to update that idea, haven't we? Even the American Indian understands this concept better than an atheist, better than Dawkins.
Everything was brought to you by the Creator, the one Creator. Some people call him God, some people call him Buddha, some people call him Allah, some people call him other names. We call him Tonkashila, grandfather.
And yet Dawkins just refuses to accept this, that these ideas are universal. He just keeps saying, well, which God? Which God? I don't understand. Why don't you tell me which God you're talking about and we'll talk about him. He's completely ignored concepts that one day we may have a universal religion. I'll bet a kid could figure this out.
Now, I don't believe in religion, and I'm not claiming to believe in one God, 10 gods, 1,000 gods, or just an energy. I just believe there's a higher power. Every culture in the world, from the Native Americans, Europe, Africa with the voodoo, even the Hawaiians with their tiki gods. Every culture, continent, islanders, as isolated they are, believe that there's this spirit world, another dimension outside of the laws of time and space.
Even one of the smartest scientists we know, the man that brought us into the atomic age, Albert Einstein, knew that one day we could accomplish a universal idea of religion.
Science without religion is lame. Religion without science is blind. The religion of the future will be a cosmic religion. It should transcend personal God and avoid dogma and theology, covering both the natural and the spiritual. It should be based on a religious sense arising from the experience of all things natural and spiritual as a meaningful unity.
But yet, I don't think Dawkins even considered this for 1 minute. I don't even think he knows that these concepts are there, but yet he keeps preaching on and on and on and on and on.
Well, what if I'm wrong? I mean, anybody could be wrong. We could all be wrong about the flying spaghetti monster and the pink unicorn and the flying teapot. What if I'm wrong? What if you're wrong about the great juju at the bottom of the sea?